Where does constitutional government live? Where does the Constitution breathe? What is the location of the Constitution? Where is it? Something that's in the abstract world? Is it just an idea? Or does the Constitution, the Tennessee Constitution, let's say the U.S. Constitution, do they live here in local economy? Does the Constitution belong to local economy? Well, my answer is yes. And what I'm getting at is that if the Constitution is just something that judges care about, or federal courts of appeal, as in the NSA ruling, if the Constitution is something that operates in faraway places, in Nashville, in Washington, in high ceiling courtrooms in the federal Capitol, well, then it doesn't really live here. If it lives there and in our minds breathes there and is exercised in faraway places among lawyers and judges who are arguing over its provisions, well, we have already lost it. I'd like to think that the Constitution, especially our Tennessee Constitution, lives in local economy. And if we're going to make constitutional government that serves and protects a free people, well, then it has to really live and breathe here. And the next question, quite naturally, is, well, among which individual people? Who claims the Constitution? Where does it reside? Is it, again, just an idea that we somehow center in Hamilton County and Chattanooga, or is it something that actually has a life? And I would like to suggest, as I have been thinking in the past couple months a great deal about oath taking and the role of county clerk in defying tyrannical opinions and tyrannical rules from remote locations, I'd like to think that in one respect, the Constitution lives in the oath of the office holder. Think of Jim Hammond. Think of swearing police officers. There are 400 of them or so in the Chattanooga Police Force. They all swear before God to uphold the Constitution. Think about Jim Coppinger, the county mayor. Think about Andy Burke, the mayor of Chattanooga, the aspiring political figure who has great hopes for wider service, right? What about him? Well, he and others, and then we come to Bill Knowles, the county clerk, in his offices down by the county courthouse downtown, and also sometimes in his office at Bonnie Oaks Drive, the relatively new facility there, where you've been there to renew your car tags, or to buy and sell a vehicle and have the tag renewed or traded, and to pay the tax, right? That's what Bill Knowles does. He collects the tax, and he's the recorder. He is a scribe, and he keeps a record. And in some cases, he issues what are called licenses. For example, marriage licenses. He issues those, and a license is a form of permission. And another topic we can get into, whether it's a real permission or just a record. But it is a license, and it is in fact permission to marry. And you get that permission from Mr. Knowles. So he has a great authority. And I'm proposing here in our show, NewEconomics.com, and at our radio station, 1240 AM Hot News Talk Radio, that the Constitution lives in Mr. Knowles's mind and in his heart. And I say in his heart because that's the thing he used to swear allegiance to it. He swears allegiance when he takes the oath of office at each re-election to uphold the Tennessee Constitution. And you can get the Tennessee Constitution is online. I have various copies of it. I have what's called the Blue Book. I'm holding up for my listener there with his smartphone an orange volume. It's still called the Blue Book. In fact, it's in white letters on the orange cover, Tennessee Blue Book 2013 and 14. Trey Hargett, the Secretary of State. And in the back is a Constitution, and my copy has all kinds of sticky notes plunging out past the edge of the book, and markings of interesting provisions that are part of our constitutional heritage. There are some good things in that Constitution. There's some pretty bad things as well. But the Constitution on the whole contains the Bill of Rights, and there That I think is what you, my listener, are most concerned about. The Bill of Rights, whether to bear arms, whether the right to be indicted in a criminal case, rather the liberty to have to be able to confront your witnesses, and the freedom to not be disseized of your property and freehold without a charge. All those kinds of things. The right to a jury trial. There are many things that are essential to a free people. And that is what we're called in the Constitution, a free people. And we are said to have free government. And free government doesn't mean that government has free reign. Of course, when someone in Washington says we believe in free government, what they mean is we believe in anarchy in government. That is what that essentially means. The rule of law, they want you to understand, applies to you, and not to them. They are, in fact, free government. But the meaning here in Tennessee, here in Chattanooga and Hamilton County, where the Constitution lives, right? It lives. Free government means that Bill Knowles makes the Constitution and its provisions live, and he will enforce them insofar as they are protections of the liberties of the people whom he represents, right? He's been reelected many times. There's a nice story about Bill Knowles, the county clerk, at Chattanoogan.com, and it tells how he got involved in the line of clerking. He was a barber in his younger age, and I think he inherited a barbering business, a haircutting business from his father, and then became a very popular political figure. And everybody knows Bill Knowles, and of course, he knows everybody else. He's a man who's well supported among the public. So how is it that that the Constitution lives in him? Well, it lives because the Constitution and I'm thinking here of what? Yeah, that's right. I'm thinking of the source of capital in Hamilton County. Marriage. Marriage is the source of capital. Family is where capital is generated. Think of Henry Lucan and the Lucan family. Well, Caitlin Lucan is his daughter, and she works for her dad in Lucan Holdings downtown. And that's a family that's all about capital, right? In long work, many connections, and there has been built up a family enterprise of holding property, and that's just one example, right? An example where large numbers of dollars might be part of the story. But it's true for you, my listener, with your small business, or you, my listener, with your thinking of going into free enterprise. Well, local economy owns the Constitution. Let me just say that. Let me just aver and swear that that's the case. Well, I won't swear that. I'll just offer it. Okay, offer it for your consideration, and you can decide how it works out. The oath of office is something that brings recognition of the Constitution here. The oath makes the Constitution not just a duty; it's a religious duty. And I've been thinking, kind of stewing a little bit from a chat I've had with Frank Brown, the former chancellor in Chancery Court here. And what I've been thinking about is, well, indeed, Bill Knowles, while he may be advised by the risk-averse county attorney to just give in to a high court gay opinion, well, Bill Knowles has multiple reasons to not do that, and so do county clerks across the state. And here's in a nutshell the argument about why local economy owns the Constitution. And local economy owns the Constitution because local people elect people to enforce the Constitution and to protect them in terms of the Constitution, right? The Constitution is written to order public officials about, and to order them about, and to let them enforce their lawful laws, which are in conformity with said Constitution. The Constitution is you might say, a set of chains, and it is something that the people place on the wrists of all officers of the state, all representatives of the state, all government officers, whether hired or appointed or elected. They're all bound by those chains. And then of course, more specifically, by the statutes. Statutes control, and if a statute is illegal or unconstitutional, well, sure enough, there's going to be a common man who will argue that and have it overturned if it's a lawless thing. But swearing before God, right? It's before God that swearing is done. That's how constitutions are made to live and breathe. And that's one party who owns it. The other party who owns the Constitution are those who don't own the Constitution directly, but who own it sort of from the backside, right? They own the Constitution is a series of words. It's a wall of words, and they're aimed at the state. And on the back of those words, right, where you might say the circuitry is visible, or the clasps that hold all the parts together are visible, that's where the people are, right? We are behind the wall. The wall with its barbs, its directives, are aimed at the state. What the state can do and what the state can't do are in the Constitution. And so people who are citizens who defend their constitutional rights, they also make the Constitution live and breathe. And they do that as belligerent claimants in person. They're people who sue for their rights. They insist on not yielding their rights, especially when they're under threat or duress. They will not bend, and they will insist, well, I'm free. I'm a free person, and you cannot do that to me, and you have no authority to do that to me or to make that demand of me. Show me your authority, Buster. The Constitution in such conflicts is very much alive. Now, the oath is, well, let me just say something else about, let me just change the topic right quick. Want you to know that we're here at Hot News Talk Radio 1240 AM 1240, and tomorrow, Saturday, there's at noon, we've got a half-off program, a half-off show that connects with our website, hotnewstalkradio.com, and we have all kinds of half-off deals that we are arranging with the power of our signal, the power of the great AM 1240 signal, to bring people together to buy and sell things in local economy, things not necessarily new, right? These are things that have had a life already, and we are involved. Since we're environmentalists here, we are involved in recycling things, finding new owners for things, objects, products, goods that may end up in the filling up a landfill or just being discarded and gathering dust. Well, we're also, just want to mention also that we're members of Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Trade Bank, the smarter way to barter and to improve your cash flow, trading among 400 local businesses in every field. Call more. You can learn from Jorgen Moots the benefits to you in your business. The number is 877-2202. And want to tell you also about Quick Surge. Quick Surge is a walk-in surgery clinic in the Publix shopping center in North Shore. And if you have moles or skin tangs or cuts or lacerations or anything that can be handled with a local anesthetic, then Quick Surge is the place to go. And David Red, the doctor there, the surgeon, does not take insurance. He's not part of the scam, if you will, that has jacked up prices more than 100, maybe 200% in the medical care field. We have high prices in medicine and medical care because of insurance. It is the villain, as is national government also. And so Quick Surge has low prices. They're all published. He takes credit card, check, or cash. And you need to stop by, call ahead if you like. Find out more at the website. That's quicksurge.com. That's QUIKSURG. That's QuickSurge, QUIKSURG. Super low prices, instant service, minimal paperwork. Think about having care for your surgical needs, your walk-in surgical needs with Dr. David Red. Well, oaths are what make the Constitution live, and my thinking is that Bill Knowles and other men of principle, other men of conviction, should not have two minds. As I think Frank Brown, in his argument from a legal perspective, gives you two minds. He makes you enter into the strife. And I'd like to suggest that oaths by public officials don't. In one sense, they create a lot of strife because you have a man of principle who's not giving in. Right? He's not giving in. But think of the strife that causes. On the other hand, a man of principle who stands under his oath and by his oath is a man for whom everything is settled. He is a man who is at the end of strife, right? He's at the end of strife. He's just standing his ground. And he's saying, no, Jim and Joe are not going to get married in my county because I have an oath to uphold the Constitution, and I will not go against that. And yes, I have an oath to uphold the federal Constitution, which the High Court has abused with its pro-Poofter opinion, and I'm not bound by that. That's simply a lawless opinion. It's just an opinion. I'm not obligated in any way to impose its diktat. It's probably 150 pages of opinion on my obligations here in Hamilton County. Matthew Henry's a biblical commentator from the time of the Reformation, and he's a very famous and wonderful writer. He says, not that all swearing is sinful, so far from that, if rightly done, it is a part of religious worship, and we in it give unto God the glory due his name. So swearing is allowed in Christianity. Christians may swear before God, but they must do so very reservedly and very carefully and not lightly. So Christ's admonition in Matthew in the Sermon on the Mount against swearing is really not against swearing in general. It's directed against the careless and feckless use of God's name in light swearing. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. In general conversation, that's what he's saying. But in certain occasions of moment where solemnity is required, that would be witnessing in a trial or taking public office, swearing is really required. And it's done so to evoke fear of God. And when Mr. Knowles, who was a Christian man, swore to uphold the Constitution, he was doing so in the fear of God. Matthew Henry goes on to say, in swearing, we pawn the truth of something known to confirm the truth of something doubtful or unknown. We appeal to a greater knowledge, to a higher court, and imprecate the vengeance of a righteous judge if we swear deceitfully. So a man who swears to uphold the Constitution cannot be absolved easily of his oath by an opinion from a Washington court. A Washington court can't make Mr. Knowles suddenly not required to obey the Constitution on the point of marriage. It does not have that authority. Now, Matthew Henry goes on to say, now the mind of Christ in this matter is that we must not swear at all, but when we are called duly to it, and justice or charity to our brother or respect to the commonwealth make it the necessary end for strife, well, then we may. So you see, swearing brings things, it settles things, right? When you swear that something is true, well, then it's true, right? That's true. And of course, false swearing is a crime on any matter of fact. False swearing is when if Mr. Knowles declares that Jim and Joe are married and then enters that into the record, in his case, because he knows that's a lie, he would be committing perjury. And so the perjury statute in Tennessee would give him like an extra guarantee. Well, I dare not offend God by uniting Jim and Joe, but I also dare not face the bare teeth of the perjury statute. Not of course, that anyone would prosecute Bill Knowles for marrying two men here in Hamilton County. Should the ruling in June, should the opinion in June from the High Court say that somehow, in some fruity way, two men can marry, Jim and Joe can marry. Now, we must not swear lightly and irreverently and in common discourse. It is a very great sin to make a ludicrous appeal to the glorious majesty of heaven, which being a sacred thing, he says, ought always to be very serious. It is a gross profanation of God's holy name and of one of the holy things which the children of Israel sanctify to the Lord. It is a sin that has no cloak and no excuse for it, and therefore a sign of a graceless heart in which enmity to God reigns. Thine enemies take thy name in vain. So the vanity of false swearing, the vanity of swearing untruly, violates the third commandment, which of course says, thou shalt not take my name in vain. An oath is a promissory. There are two kinds of oaths. Mr. Knowles has one that's called a promissory oath. It's really much more dangerous to make because you're promising something in the future. You're not just swearing to tell the truth right now. You're promising to perform into the future, through the term of your office. A promissory oath binds so long and may be in so many ways broken by the surprise as well as the strength of a temptation that it is not to be used, but upon great necessity. So when he took office, he took the oath before God as matter of great necessity. The frequent requiring and using of oaths is a reflection upon Christians who should be of such acknowledged fidelity as that their sober words should be as sacred as their solemn oaths. So the point that Matthew Henry is making is that a Christian should be always so faithful to tell the truth that he never has to make he never has to swear anything. All men are a man who makes oaths carelessly. He does so from his deceitful nature. All men are liars. Therefore, men use these protestations, meaning these false oaths, because they are distrustful one of another and think they cannot be believed without them. Note, Christians should, for the credit of their religion, avoid not only that which is in itself evil, but that which cometh from evil and has an appearance of it. That may be suspected as a bad thing, which comes from a bad cause. An oath is a physic which supposes a disease. So in other words, false swearing something that no good man should do, is from a people who are false. True swearing by a true man, such as Bill Knowles, our county clerk here in Hamilton County, is important because it comes from a good man, and he will be counted on and should be counted on to uphold the Constitution. This is how local economy owns the Constitution, because men like Bill Knowles, men such as Sheriff Jim Hammond, and mayors, Mayor Coppinger, Mayor Burke, and others, they own the Constitution, and they declare that they will uphold it. And say what you will about Mayor Burke being a Democrat. I mean, he is bound by the oath, just as any other person is. And this is how local economy has prospect. If local economy owns the Constitution through these oaths that good public men have, then there's hope that we can find our way amid moral, legal, and cultural chaos, which is the modern life. This is David Toulis. Our show is Nuganomics.com. I've got something I want you to hear. Hang on.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
If you have the DT, the shakes, because your phone is on the fritz, you have nomophobia. You need help. Your telecom doctor is in. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall. Cell Surgeon yanks open the ribcage of your phone, pries out the dead heart, and puts in the beating life that you lead on your cell phone. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out? Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life. We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection, loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas, every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
You do not have to be living with constant pain. You need to make the choice today to enjoy a revitalized body. You deserve to live a better pain-free life. And Dr. Ross can help. At Ross Chiropractic, failure is not an option. For over 40 years, Dr. Ross, a graduate of the prestigious Palmer College of Chiropractic, prided himself in helping and healing. The Ross method of chiropractic care is unique in developing a treatment designed just for you. And Ross Chiropractic makes this promise to you. If he believes that he can help relieve your pain, he will guide you to another health practitioner to assist you. Feel better now. You owe it to yourself. You really do. Call Dr. Ross now at 954-9591. That's 954-9591. And visit Dr. Ross at 7405 Shallowford Road, Suite 320. Ross Chiropractic, helping your body heal itself. Because when your spine's in line, you will feel fine. Call 954-9591. That's 954-9591 for Ross Chiropractic.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducts. Call now.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu. The mayor of Baltimore gets her request granted.
Attorney General Loretta Lynch says the Justice Department will investigate to find out if Baltimore police
conduct unlawful searches, seizures, and arrests, and engage in discriminatory policing.
as well as if they use excessive force, including deadly force.
Fox Radio's Rachel Sutherland. That request was made in the wake of riots and protests following the death of a man who was hurt while in police custody. In Seaford, New York, police officers from all over the country, even Canada, paying respects to Brian Moore, the 25-year-old NYPD officer shot Saturday while on duty. And a lot of buying on Wall Street as markets cheer the latest jobs report showing solid jobs creation. We're also learning unemployment in April fell to a 7-year low. Fox News, we report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nuganomics with David Toulis.
Macaulay School, which has about 900 boy students at the foot of Missionary Ridge there along Macaulay Avenue, is starting what it calls the National Center for the Development of Boys. It's an institute. It will be separate from the school and yet will be housed on the campus, and it will be a place, a platform in which studies and thinking and philosophizing about boys. Of course, boys are versus girls, right? These are distinct, the sex, the male sex, the young members of the male sex will be studied. There's a quote from the headmaster of Macaulay, Lee Burns, which I'm reading here from Chattanoogan.com's story about it yesterday. And he says, boys and young men in our country are disengaging from school and underperforming in both school and society at large. The educational trends of boys and its impact on the world is quite troubling. We as a country need to find ways to bring out the best in boys, academically, socially, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. It's our belief, he says, that this center can be a hub of important research, conversations, and practical strategies about how to help boys and young men. But I from what I read in this statement, there's a great deal of sense of the boys being troubled and, of course, disengaging from school. That of course, I think is a sign of health among boys who disengage from school, are showing that they're still human, right? Because schools tend to be dehumanizing and socializing, and maybe that's not the best thing for the brightest of our young people, whom we have to understand attend Macaulay School with its very high tuition. It's as much to go to Macaulay School in the 8th grade as it is for many others to attend engineering school. There's a quote also from assistant headmaster Kenny Scholl. He says, the plight of boys and the challenge of raising and developing them into responsible men of character is a nationwide concern, and many are desperate to improve how this is addressed. Well, these things are true, and the problems with boys come from the fact that they're in school. The problems that boys have in school is not because they have a problem, it's because there's a problem being imposed upon them. And the only way to maintain your sanity, to maintain the distinct interest that you have, to maintain what I would suggest is a God-given human genius that every boy in some area or other has. These are oppressed by the school machinery. And they do that through what effectively is at school you learn school. That's the main item in the curriculum. It's not math, it's not geography, it's not civics. It is school. School is the curriculum, according to one of my favorite writers, John Taylor Gatto. And he has a wonderful volume called Weapons of Mass Instruction, a school teacher's journey through the dark world of compulsory schooling. And of course, he's not writing about a private school necessarily, but private schools, plural necessarily, but the public machine. But he gets at the soulful, you might say the soul damning parts of the machinery of schooling. And when I read the story about Macaulay, I thought of a quote in his book that was in a high school in Calgary, Canada. that he says gives an idea of how schools discourage direct experience, and that's what schools do. They discourage direct experience in the world at large. They are emasculating, right? They take from the young man, his drive, and which is part of the way God made young men. God made young men to be conquering, to be warlike, to be aggressive, to take on hazards and perils, and schooling neuters that drive. And you can only see that if you don't buy into egalitarian thinking, right? If you have a creational perspective, or even a Christian or biblical perspective, as I do, you can make that statement and not worry about the flack you might get. But it's a list of dangers that parents were told about on a field trip. And potential hazards may include, but are not limited to, the following. All right, bus travel to and from site. All right, there are several categories. Motion sickness, injury from other person's motion sickness, injury from being thrown during sudden massive negative or positive acceleration, which is to say a crash. Tripping hazard when entering or exiting vehicle or moving down the aisle. Overheating during transit. Objects coming through open windows. Injury from student putting head or limbs out of window. Injury caused by own or other student's inappropriate behavior. All right, that's one category. Another one's entire trip. Okay. Here are other very important dangers that parents should be aware of, and they should urge Johnny to be very careful and not do anything exciting because he may have an injury. Slipping or tripping getting on or off bus, slipping while climbing stairs or pathway on the trail, exposure to pollens, food, dust, or other materials that might induce allergic reaction, dehydration, exposure to environmental conditions including cold, damp, warm, hot, dry, and sunny, tripping on sidewalk or paved pathways, attack or injury from wild animals, foodborne organisms in own or other students' lunches, snacks, drinks. Oh, there should be some semicolons in here, and it's just all commas. Electrical storms, including lightning strikes, landslides on hills. Okay. When you get off the bus and you're on your field trip now, you're enjoying some nature. You know, there is a thing called nature out there. You face dangers. And the last one that Gatto records is viewing indoor exhibits at site. Now, here are some very great perils. Tripping hazards on stairs, bumping hazards from other viewers, pinching hazard from doors, slipping hazard on wet floors or pavements, injury from collapsing exhibits. This is what we sign off on when we send our children to school. And what psychological effect does this grisly enumeration, he says, carry, repeated as it is on every excursion outside school walls? Is it designed to add value to the adventurous risk-taking without which the mass of the young are doomed to become and remain clerks lifelong? And he goes immediately into a discussion about an American school czar, the first national school czar, William Torrey Harris. And his goal, his prescription was effectively to alienate the individual children from themselves. Okay, hear that? You alienate the child from himself to have their identities merge into a group identity. Contemporary school planners treat children as categories, right? Black and white, gifted, talented, special progress, rich, middle class, poor, and multiple subdivisions of each imaginable category, but not as specific individuals with specific intellectual, social, psychological, and physical needs. He says the rhetoric of collectivization leads quickly to treating groups and subgroups as averages. This makes managerial labor much easier, but guarantees bad results no matter how many resources are devoted to improving the lot of the group. The logic of collectivization seeks to disconnect each child. And this is the indictment right here, from his or her own unique constellation, particular circumstances, traditions, aspirations, past experiences, families, and to treat each as the representative of a type by a process as inexorable as that with which the collapsing walls of a prison room force the prisoner toward a pit, and death in Poe's story, The Pit and the Pendulum. A fatal decision. A collectively viewed classroom must aim for the lowest common denominator, a fatal decision from the start. And that is a synopsis of the free market position on compulsory and mass schooling, even if it takes place at Macaulay. Macaulay has the same problems as any other Woodside Elementary School or any other school in Chattanooga. And so we need to study this. We definitely need to study the schooling crisis. There's one make mention of Eric Pelton, by the way, the numbers guy in Chattanooga. He's the man who does accounting. He does tax returns. And if you need any help in keeping what you've earned, if you're a small businessman with cash flow problems, Eric Pelton is the one to call. ejpelton.com online. Call Eric. And the number is 622-3156. That's 622-3156. Tell him you're the Nuganomics.com listener and you'd like to meet with him to run over with him in a brief conversation your business idea. He would love to hear about it, and maybe we'll give you some feet on the ground advice. There's very important news out of Washington, and that is the ruling in favor of constitutional government by the Court of Appeals. It's in the case ACLU versus Clapper. Clapper being the director of the national security agency, and there's the decision says that the bulk surveillance program run by the federal government is illegal. Now, you see why I'm saying that the Constitution has to live in local economy and that local economy owns it? We are angry that people who are supposed to honor the Constitution in the national government have not done so, and have not done so repeatedly. And thus, my argument, as we look at news of this kind, my argument is that local economy is really kind of our salvation. We're saved by God, of course. Salvation in the eternal sense is from God among his people, right? He saves his people. But on earth, there are various kinds of salvations. There's redemption of various kinds on earth. Like if you have a currency or a form of money that's redeemable, right? You turn in the paper note and you get a gold coin or a silver coin. That's a picture of salvation. You've redeemed your dollar. You've given a paper dollar and gotten back a real one. That's redemption. All through society, the idea of salvation is to be seen. And many people think that the national state is our savior. There is in the national power in the United States of America, there is the source of predestination. I would say predestination belongs to God alone, but many people would say, no, what are you talking about? We have to have a powerful national government, very well organized. We have to eliminate disparities among states and so on. We need to eliminate the states effectively and have a single empire with a single grand law, saving the people from themselves. And that is because we have that conception. We have the Constitution owned by the good people, and they don't really own it. They just have a pretense of owning it. And the judges in this appellate court opinion talk about the volume of data collected against you and against me. The sheer volume of information sought, the opinion says it's about a 97-page document, is staggering. While search warrants and subpoenas for business records may encompass large volumes of paper documents or electronic data, the most expansive of such evidentiary demands are dwarfed by the volume of records obtained pursuant to the orders in question here. Moreover, the distinction is not merely one of quantity, however vast the quantitative difference, but also of quality. Search warrants and document subpoenas typically seek the records of a particular individual or corporation under investigation and cover particular time periods when the events under investigation occurred. The orders at issue here contain no such limits. The metadata concerning every telephone call made or received in the United States using the services of the recipient service provider are demanded for an indefinite period extending into the future. The records demanded are not those of suspects under investigation or people or businesses that have contact with such subjects, or of people or businesses that have contact with others who are in contact with such subject. Okay, notice how it goes on. They extend to every record that exists. Think about that. They extend to every record that exists, and indeed to records that do not yet exist, as they impose a continuing obligation on the recipient of the subpoena to provide such records on an ongoing basis, that's to say the telecom, as they are created. The government can point to no grand jury subpoena that is remotely comparable to the real-time data collection undertaken under this program. The decision says that the good people, the Yankees, in their arguments emphasize permissive standards applied to subpoenas elsewhere. And so there's a long discussion about how loose subpoenas are in other contexts. And the judges come back saying The telephone metadata program requires that the phone companies turn over records on an ongoing daily basis with no foreseeable end point, no requirement of relevance to any particular set of facts, and no limitations as to subject matter or individuals covered, even in the Eighth Circuit case that the government cites. Moreover, although it upheld the subpoena at issue, the Eighth Circuit suggested that the district court consider the extent to which the government would be able to identify in advance patterns or characteristics that would raise suspicion, designed to focus on illegal activity without taking in an unnecessary amount of irrelevant material. And that's the problem, that there's so much irrelevant material that's been vacuum cleaned into national economy and into national government. The techniques traditionally used to combat such ordinary crimes that are referred to, I'm skipping on here, such as money laundering and drug dealing, have not included the collection via grand jury subpoena of a vast trove of records of metadata concerning the financial transaction or telephone calls of ordinary Americans to be held in reserve in a data bank to be searched if and when at some hypothetical future time the records might become relevant to a criminal investigation. Do you see why I'm just entranced by the idea of local economy? Local economy is where the Constitution lives. It lives in local economy. And that is to say, it lives here, right? It lives right here, and it's you might say it's not enforced, but it is something that enforces itself upon local actors, local government actors, clerks, sheriffs, police department heads, mayors, county commissioners, city council members. At its core, this opinion against the good people goes on to say the approach boils down to the proposition that essentially, now get this, these are federal judges talking about what the good people are doing. Essentially, all telephone records are relevant to essentially all international terrorism investigations. The federal government has converted you, my listener, an innocent man in business, a dad, right? A proto-entrepreneur, a hard-working man trying to make savings, trying to pay off his debts, a man who's paying on his mortgage, a man whose lawnmower gets cranky, a man whose car is burning too much oil, a man whose sweetheart, your wife, really loves you and really respects you, though you think sometimes she doesn't. You are a criminal. You are connected somehow to a criminal investigation. That's now what these judges are saying is that you, my listener, are viewed by them, the good people. You, my listener, are viewed by them as a criminal, as a person of interest potentially involved in international terrorism. Here it is again. At its core, the approach boils down to the proposition that essentially all telephone records are relevant to essentially all international terrorism investigations. You see that there's no here, right? There's no here in this story. Who in Chattanooga is connected with terrorism? Name one person you think could be involved in terrorism. Well, nobody, not a soul. And yet the federal government, the good people, would pretend in their program that you are. Everything is connected to everything else. Do you not see that this is inefficient? Do you not see that this is a problem crying out for a remedy? It's crying out for decentralization. It's crying out, as Bill Binney proposes, it's crying out for the hiring of Anonymous, the hacker group. Hire Anonymous, and they'll do a better job in finding out what's going on to prevent terrorist acts than anything the good people have done through their NSAs and through their snooping program. Put another way, the judges said, the government effectively argues that there is only one enormous anti-terrorism investigation, and that any records that might ever be of use in developing any aspect of that investigation are relevant to the overall terrorism effort. That is a description that just takes my breath away and really excites me. And I think you should view it as exciting as well, because it is a true statement, a true description of what John Kozlowski with Shofar Portfolio System in Cleveland, Tennessee. That is what he's working to to block in the interest of privacy, as the English say, in the interest of local economy, the free market, and the innocent man who has a right. He has a right. You have a right to privacy. Indeed, the government's information gathering under the telephone metadata program is inconsistent with the very concept of an investigation. So you see, there is no investigation. If everything's being investigated, there is no investigation. Now, my name is David Toulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com, the number 3 show here at Hot News Talk Radio. And wanted to let you know that the number 1 show is Digital Drive with Russell at noon every day, the show that covers the digital economy. And as today, it was focusing heavily on surveillance and on the rights of the common people to not be surveyed. The number 2 show may well be Sean Hannity. And we appreciate Sean Hannity, who is a neoconservative, imperialist-minded American who holds to exceptionalism, right? The theory of exceptionalism is what he is all about, and makes a great defense of the intervening national power, and he makes a very good defense. You might note of Christianity against Moorism or Mohammedanism. The name here is David Toulis. Our show is Nuganomics.com. I want to mention to you Bruce Krebs. Our theory is that the national economy faces disaster ahead. And because we face a gay mudslide maybe in June, but we face a mudslide of a different kind, which is to say the accumulation of massive debt, which is going to be hitting us, and there are going to be marked shocks in the economy. So people who are just employed here or there, they're going to be losing their jobs. My prediction is that this time, 2008 was hardly a Main Street phenomenon. It was largely in the canyons of Wall Street, according to David Stockman. When the real crisis hits, it can't be papered over, and you're gonna lose half your wealth. Okay, you, my listener, face a loss of half of your net worth in the coming meltdown. The solution, part of it, has to be, in addition to paying off your debts and saving and becoming liquid, is having your own business. If you don't have an idea for your own business, go to Bruce Krebs at Entrepreneur Source. Bruce Krebs will get you into a franchise that's suitable to your background, your interests, your capital availability, and suitable to our economy. Probably service economy lines that are in your favor. Call Bruce Krebs at Entrepreneur Source. Call him today. Tell him you're the Nuganomics.com listener and you want an appointment. He is a consultant and he doesn't charge a dime for his services. Again, Bruce Krebs, 875-5621. That's 875-5621. On Saturday, at noon we have a first manifestation of our Half Off Now show. It's a show that covers some of the things that we have on sale at hotnewstalkradio.com. On that website, click the half off link and you'll get great deals. Hot News Talk Radio saves you money. We're all about saving money. We're all about recycling things that need to have a new life and a new owner. And everything there is at half price. And we're using our power at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio to bring you things at discount. We are using radio leverage to save you money. And we're online at hotnewstalkradio.com. Again, there's that window. Just click for half off now. And on your smartphone, you get the TuneIn app if you don't already have it. Download that. It's free. And type in Hot News Talk Radio. And there we are. You can see if my bow tie is well done. I must say that my bow tie manufacturing process in the morning is not perfect, and I hope don't make too much fun of me, but I would say it's crinkly, okay? And today it's crinkly and a little crooked, and the two arms on one side are not lining up correctly, but you can laugh at me. That's all right. Laugh at me. I can take it. And we are here to make you prosper. We're here to give you alternatives, and we're not just criticizing national people, right? We're not just criticizing senators and presidents and the like. We let other people do that. We're here to acknowledge their faults, to acknowledge their incapacity, and then to propose solutions. The solutions are local economy, in short. Local economy, entrepreneurship, loving God, that's very important. If the people don't love God and don't stop killing their unborn children to the tune of 250 every year in Hamilton County, we are facing a difficult time ahead. And though we do, my argument is full of confidence and full of hope for good things, especially in the new developments in the marketplace where centralization is bypassed, cartels are bypassed by the little guy, that's you.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Right now, you can save half off at hotnewstalkradio.com. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and click half off for exceptional deals on new and pre-owned unique quality items. For Hamilton County residents only, save half off at Jet's Pizza, golf clubs, coffee, tea, a real sword, jewelry, and much more. It's half off. Go to half off at hotnewstalkradio.com right now, then click half off and save big. Make sure to join us live Saturday at noon as we bring you lots of fantastic deals here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
News Talk 1240.
Surgery does not have to be financially painful. Hi, I'm Surgical Dr. David Red, and I'd like to invite you to my walk-in surgery clinic in North Shore. Quick Surge brings you immediate relief from moles, skin tags, maybe a laceration. Quick Surge. You walk in, fill out a mini form, I numb the area I'll treat, and before you know it, you're on your way home. Do I take insurance? No, because I take cash customers. I have super low and fixed prices, credit card, check, or cash. Uninsured, member of the working financially disadvantaged, choose Quick Surge. I publish prices online. No mirth, just sunshine. Hassle-free, pain-free. Love the idea of a personal relationship with a doctor? Drop in with a nasty cut from work. Quick Surge, I'll take care of you. Quick Surge in the Public Center on the North Shore. No insurance hassles with Quick Surge. The national medical system is dysfunctional, overpriced, very alienating. I'm part of the solution, and so are you. Come on home. QuickSurge.com. QUIKSURG. Relief.
When my brother and I opened the first Jet's Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300-plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jet's.
Pure, honest, fair, and respect. Just some words that come to mind when you think about how you want to be treated. And that's how you're treated at Rivermont Pure. Rivermont Pure in Rivermont, Chattanooga. Serving your vehicle needs for over 30 years.
Now that's a long time.
Owner-operators Charlie and Tommy always put your needs first. Yeah, go ahead. Get an estimate from one of those big guy impersonal car repair chains.
No way!
Then bring it to Tommy and Charlie at Rivermont Pure. Chances are they'll beat their price and get your vehicle back on the road faster than you can say,
our customers come first. Hi, this is Charlie.
And I'm Tommy, owners of Rivermont Pure. We're here to serve you.
Rivermont Pure, the auto repair guys. Featuring ethanol-free fuel. Located across from Rivermont Elementary on Hickson Pike. Rivermont, Chattanooga. Rivermont Pure.
Rivermont Pure, that's where I've always gone to get my car serviced. My husband and I trust Charlie and Tommy. They always treat us right and give us a fair price. And they get the job done right the first time. Thank you, Rivermont Pure.
Call 485-3375. That's 485-3375.
Okay, you get your taxes done by a franchise, but you're just a number. Your preparer might have had a 9-week course, but he's a number 2. Are you creating prosperity for your customers and yourself? EJ Pelton clears the thick underbrush of taxes, helps make your way straight. Don't let uncertainty dampen your local economy spirit. Look, come home. Let EJ Pelton Tax Service handle your taxes. Eric Pelton is the Chattanooga and Soddy Daisy tax specialist with 37 years under his belt. Eric Pelton also does bookkeeping and accounting to help you reach your entrepreneurial and financial goals. Confidential advice, consulting, and other services. Yours for the asking. EJPelton.com. That's EJPelton.com. Call 332-3339. That's 332-3339. Think ahead.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. Coverage continues Sunday here at Live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
NASCAR being brought to you by River
You
City
give us
Auto
12 minutes and 40 seconds,
5503
we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News, I'm Sam Litzinger. No specific threat cited, but CBS News Pentagon correspondent David Martin says military bases around the country are going to a higher alert status.
There have been a number of cases in recent weeks where ISIS sympathizers in the U.S. have been arrested and accused of plotting attacks on American bases. So although there is no specific threat from ISIS against U.S. military bases, there's enough chatter out there to get the Defense Department to raise this security level one level.
And that could mean longer delays getting on to bases. It was back in May of 2008 when we last saw a jobless rate this low, 5.4%. Employers added 223,000 jobs last month. President Obama, who's been speaking at Nike headquarters to promote a new trade agreement, says this is very good news.
By the way, 62 months ago is when I signed the Affordable Care Act. So obviously it hasn't done too bad in terms of employment in this country. Just thought I'd mention that.
But the job growth isn't yet raising worker pay very much. Average hourly wages rose just 3 cents last month. The Justice Department is putting the Baltimore Police Department under the microscope. The announcement comes from Attorney General Loretta Lynch several days after she visited the city and met with the mayor and community leaders.
This investigation will begin immediately and will focus on allegations that Baltimore Police Department officers use excessive force, including deadly force, conduct unlawful searches, seizures, and arrests, and engage in discriminatory policing.
Baltimore's mayor asked for the investigation. Federal authorities are conducting a separate probe into the death of Freddie Gray, who died of serious injuries after his arrest. A fire official says all 4 people aboard a small plane were killed when their Piper PA-32 crashed on a busy Atlanta interstate. The plane slammed into an interstate after taking off from DeKalb Peachtree Airport. The crash shut down the east-west highway in both directions. In Washington, D.C., it was like stepping back in time 70 years. To mark the anniversary of Victory in Europe Day, dozens of vintage military aircraft from World War II flew low over the nation's capital. Delighted people down below watched in awe. WTOP reporter Mike Murillo says it was quite a show.
I'm out here along the Georgetown waterfront watching the 38s just come through, the B-24 Liberator Diamond Lil, which I got to see up close and personal yesterday. Just an amazing sight to see them take flight. Hundreds out here gathered on the waterfront, including people and businesses on the roof watching the planes come in.
Reagan National Airport was closed for about an hour to accommodate the historic flyover. On Wall Street, traders like that jobs report. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up about 255 points. The NASDAQ is up about 52 points. This is CBS News.
In the time you spent listening to this radio spot, you could have completed and submitted an entire expense report with a simple picture of your receipt. That's all it takes for you to get back to work and for your business to run more efficiently. To learn more and discover all the ways Concur helps manage your company's expenses, just go to tryconcur.com for a free test drive.
How strong is Allegra D?
It's my congestion's out of my way strong. Even in the park, playing with my dogs. Go fetch, Bosley.
Allegra D, a fast, non-drowsy antihistamine plus a powerful decongestant that starts relieving your toughest allergy symptoms in under 1 hour.
Allegra D is breathing free for 24 hours strong, even in the convertible.
Allegra D, strong relief for your allergy symptoms, guaranteed or your money back. Visit Allegra.com. Use only as directed.
China is officially an atheist country, and reporter Shannon Van Zandt says one Chinese province has decided to take steps to make sure a prominent Christian symbol is a lot less visible.
The Chinese province of Zhejiang has proposed a ban on any future construction of rooftop Christian crosses. Since early 2014, Zhejiang officials have clashed violently with Christians in the province and toppled crosses from more than 400 churches. Authorities released draft rules this week that say any cross must be affixed to the side of a building and no more than 1/10 the building's height.
Another food company says it's changing its ingredients to try to appeal to customers who want healthier options. Snackwells is joining PepsiCo Inc., Kraft, and Panera Bread in tweaking its foods. It's cutting high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oil, and artificial flavors. Many analysts see a trend here. Sam Litzinger, CBS News.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
You, my listener, are right to encourage your son to have his own little business. Your daughter, who's 17 years old, to have something that she's responsible for, because she's very artistic, and she has talked with you about having a little platform on Etsy, and where she will have some of her dress designs, and she's doing a little bit of work in jewelry, all on her own, because she's a creative sort. And your son, well, he's thinking in that direction too. And you're right. You, my listener, are correct. If you are in favor of local economy, as you are, to encourage these kinds of thoughts among your children, because you want them in the end to not be satisfied with employment, but to be excited by the prospect of ownership. Ownership is where profit goes. Profit does not go to your son or your daughter or to you if you are simply employed, because remember, wages are an equivalent. If you pay $20 an hour or $50 an hour, that's because that's what all you're worth, right? You're not worth more. Profit accrues to owners, to masters, and not to servants. In employment, if you look at the legal definition of employment, it is a master-servant relationship. Just as in times of slavery, you had the master and the servant. In biblical times, when the writer speaks of the master or the servant, he's talking about that exact relationship. It's part of human nature to have them, and they are inescapable. Now, your son and your daughter, though, should they think of starting a business? And the answer is yes. And I would just encourage you, my listener, to have good words for that. Do what you can. If capital is needed, meaning if a little money is needed, or equipment or other, do what you can to make it happen, and encourage your son and your daughter to constantly think about the customer. In your daughter's case, it's the buyer of her jewelry. How can she make her jewelry, her little creations, more attractive? How can she offer variety? How can she make it distinct? Is there a way that she can brand herself or brand her work to stand out among hundreds of other offerings like that at Etsy? Well, maybe she can. And so she needs to be really conscious of what she's doing, where her gifts are, and how she can present her creations to the wider world. Now, your son, though, may want to learn from Joel Huffman. Joel Huffman, who's 14 years old, is the son of, he's one of eight children of Andrew Huffman, who's an attorney who works managing contracts for TVA. Prior to that, he had his own practice in trademark law. He and his wife Rhonda have 8 children, and Joel is among them. And he is starting a business, and he has for you to look at, my viewer on your smartphone. He has his own business card. Very good. I've had the same policy for my children. All of them, I'll buy you a free business card. I'll help you design it. And none of them have taken me up on the offer, but Joel Huffman has, with his father's encouragement, and he runs a little service business in his neighborhood in the Farrington Circle area of Hickson. He lives on Caulfield Street with his family. Mean Green, he says. Joel, welcome to Nooganomics.com.
Thank you, Mr. Toulis.
Well, tell us what Mean Green is all about. Tell us how it began.
Well, it's kind of hard for a 14-year-old boy or girl, to get a job, part-time or full-time. So I just decided to go around and see if there are some people that needed their lawns mowed.
Did you were you told by employers that they wouldn't hire you, or do you just know that from your dad's understanding of law?
Well, I called several, stores like Publix and Buy Low and stuff like that, and some restaurants, and they said they didn't hire till 16. So,
well, what is the purpose of Mean Green? Talk about where you're trying to go with it. What you're trying to accomplish.
Well, this year it's just, it's not very big. I hope to in a couple years, have a business, a big business, and upgrade some equipment. And maybe right now I'm just pushing my lawnmower to who I mow for, but I hope to get some more customers in different areas, different neighborhoods, and get some better equipment and go out there.
Well, what services do you provide?
Just lawn care. I mow, weed eat, and weed, trim hedges, just small jobs like that.
Was there what you call a capital investment in your business? Did you have to have some money put up to buy equipment?
I didn't. No, sir. I just used the equipment I used to mow and take care of my own yard. My family's.
Well, you're one of 8 children of the Huffman family. Who are the other children, and do any of them share with you the mowing privilege?
Well, actually, there's 9 kids. One of them, well, there's only 8 still living at the house. There's one, my oldest brother is married, and I have I have a brother who actually helps me with the business because it's hard to do weed eating and trimming hedges and mowing, by yourself. So,
and which brother is that?
That's Noah. He's 13 years old.
So now you're at the end of the school year lessons, and summer is here. You're in high season. Talk about when did your season of labors begin? Did it just now begin? What's the story there?
Well, I started about 2 months ago, and for a while I only had one customer. But I had actually 2 customers. One was regular, and then I got one customer that just wanted me to do it once because their son and father were out of town. But now I have 4 regular customers, and I hope to get at least double how many customers I had to. So get 8 customers.
Well, tell us, the listener wants to know about these customers, Joel Huffman. Talk about them.
Well, I have 4 customers, and the first one I got 2 months ago. A man, and he didn't have a lawnmower. So basically, what you do, you go. What my technique is to go around the neighborhood and look for people who look like their yard is not in the best shape. And so this guy apparently didn't have a lawnmower and hired me right there on the spot.
And how many times have you done his yard?
About, I want to say 8, about, maybe just 7, but.
Well, this work was previous to the commencement of your efforts 2 months ago, right? Yes. This season, you've only done his yard, what, twice?
Yes, sir, about, I guess.
Well, go on. Talk about the other customers.
Well, and then I have another a lady customer. Her husband, he likes mowing the grass. She said she doesn't understand it. He said it's his enjoyment, his only enjoyment, which I don't understand, and she thought it was crazy. But they also hired me on the spot because he works a lot. And so she, and she can't go out there and mow their yard because they have a decent sized yard. So, he told us, actually, I did for the first time I did their yard just a couple days ago, and what they told me was if I did a good job weeding and weed eating, they'd pay me for that, and if I did a really good job, then they'd hire me for the summer and get me to do front back mowing, trimming hedges, and all just taking care of their whole yard for the rest of the summer. And they were pleased with the work, so that I got the job for.
And how long did that family's yard take?
It took to do the whole yard front and back close to 4 hours. It was a tough job because it was, I mean, I don't want to say it was a nice yard, but you could tell it hadn't been mowed in a while and it had weeds.
So you ran the mower on the highest level?
Not the highest, close to the highest. We actually raised it.
Did you have to redo it after getting the heavy stuff off?
We redid part of their yard. The other parts of the yard looked okay, but there was one part that was pretty high, and it was really dry grass, so it left like piles of dry grass everywhere. So we went over it one more time.
Well, talk a little bit about meeting people as you wander down the lane. You're going to a new house. What is it? What is your angle? What is it that you say? And are you intimidated by meeting strangers and knocking at their door? What kind of experience is that?
Well, what I try to do, I told you I look for people's yard who doesn't look the nicest, and I'll go up to them, I'll knock them, I always step down 2 steps so it can, I don't know why. I don't want to be invading their personal space. So I right when they come out, well,
back off just for a second. You're saying you go up to the porch, or the front door porch, knock on the door, and then you don't want to stand there. You go back 2 steps because otherwise you're too close.
At least one. I don't want to make them feel really uncomfortable. So I stand back a little, and then I'll just ask them, would you be interested in hiring me to cut your grass? And give them my business card. And I always try to address. I always address them as sir or ma'am.
How early in the conversation does your name appear?
Well, they usually, people want to know about you if you're going to be taking care of their yard. So they'll ask me my name. I'll tell them my name. Show them my information on the business card. And some of them ask where I live, which I tell them, there's like a cul-de-sac, and then I'm like through the woods from there, And so they're like, oh yeah, I've seen that house before, So
you're coming to people's front doors, but you're not begging for something, right? You're not really asking for something, are you? What's your approach?
I'm offering them something. So I've had several people who I'm happy if they have, their husband can do it, or they already have hired someone to do it. So, but I'm not trying to get there and look like some pitiful guy that can't find work, So, I'm not trying to, beg for it. I just, I'll walk up, just ask them if they, would you be interested in hiring me to mow your lawn? If they say no, oh, just, will you have a good day? And sometimes some people have people to mow their yard, but they don't have people to do their hedges. So I actually have one man who mows his yard with a riding mower, but he has a bad back, and so he can't, and he doesn't want me to mow his yard with my push mower because he has a hill, and he just doesn't want me to mow because he doesn't want me to get hurt. But I weed eat his yard for him, and soon he said he'd hire me to do his hedges. So it's different every time.
Do the people you interview on their doorstep offer to tell you what they're paying now for their services, and do you adjust your prices accordingly, or do you, when you come up, give an estimate of how long it would take and base your proposed price on that? When does price come into the conversation?
I don't do price on time. Not like per hour or something. I'll look at the job, and each place is different. I have one customer who had hedges that were like taller than me, both sideways and long ways. I had to get on their deck to cut their hedges. So, and it all depends on the size of the yard, how hilly it is, and so they'll ask, what do you charge? And I'll say, well, can I look around? Well, if you were going to hire me, what would you want me to do? Would you want me to cut, weed eat, or trim hedges? And they'll say something, I'll say, they'll say, oh, could you do my hedges? And I'll say, well, could I walk around your house and could you show me all your hedges? And we'll walk around and look at it and they'll show me what they want me to do. Some people, like, I don't know how to do a rose bush and stuff. And so they're like, just leave this alone. I was like, yeah, I can't do that. So, I'll look, I'll base it on the size and what they're willing to pay. Some people, don't have a lot of money, and I haven't had this happen to me before, but won't want to pay what you charge. So
you've had some practice in negotiating.
Yes, sir.
Price.
Yes, sir.
And one of your pitches is that you're affordable.
Yes, sir.
But you make that offer not knowing necessarily what that family's paying currently for its services.
Yes, sir.
Well, do you have the idea of being in business in other fields, maybe past being a teenager? Joel Huffman, you're 14 years old. You're the son of an attorney, Andrew Huffman, and your mom's name is Rhonda. They're one of 9 children. You live in Hickson. Do you have the idea that you might be involved in some other calling? Do you have an interest that may not necessarily be in the lawn care or construction trade? Well, that's not construction, but in that field. What are your ambitions?
Honestly, I don't know right off the bat. I know I want to keep on doing this, the mowing business for several years, to come. Right now, me and my friend actually, we don't know how this will go, but we noticed an opportunity, and right now we're trying to develop an app, which that's not, I guess you wouldn't consider that a job, but yeah.
And that's not connected to Mean Green.
It's not, no, sir. Not at all.
Well, now, have you read any books that touch on marketing or business, or that have you read into the field of small business? Or are there any recommendations you would want to make to my listener if he has a son thinking of doing the same thing?
I haven't, but a book that was it's an amazing book. It's not about business, but it's by Charles Schultz, and it's by Charles Schultz, and it's called Created for Work. What it does, it's talking about how boys, and men we were created to. I mean, I recommend it for girls too, but it's mainly for boys, about how we're made to work, and it gives it gives some it has good lessons and just.
Well, what is the purpose of work according to this author?
Well, one thing, to glorify God, of course, and be good stewards of what we have. So work should always start around. You always want to make sure you're working around your house, and like I try to mow my yard several times a week and take care of it, because you want to be. It says in the Bible to be good stewards of what we have, and it's not. It's trying to make work not. I mean, because most teenagers will be like, "Oh, I don't."
It's a dreadful thing to have to work.
Yes, sir. That was kind of dramatic. Sorry, but he really encourages the reader to look at work as not a chore, but an opportunity, a privilege.
Well, this is David Toulis. Our show is Nuganomics.com. I want to mention Delia's Authentic Mexican Food. Today is Friday, the last work day for many people, and we'd like you to patronize our local shops. We have the wonderful, whimsical, and very weak idea that if you love your neighbor, you'll buy local, and that would be in part patronizing locally owned outfits such as Delia's. Maria is a very soft-spoken Mexican immigrant here in the Chattanooga area. Delia's Authentic Mexican Food is on Dayton Pike in South Soddy Daisy, just near the Thrasher Light. She uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. And the special today is the taco salad. It's number 19 on the illustrated menu, and you're paying $6.25. That's $1 off on the chicken or beef variety. Mention that you are hearing her on the radio, and you'll get a free iced tea. Again, the restaurant is Delia's Authentic Mexican Food, and she has a rich selection of everything south of the border. So if you're new in the United States, you're here with a new company, maybe from Germany, find out what the Americans enjoy in the way of Mexican food, and that would be Delia's Authentic Mexican Food in South Saudi Daisy. My name is David Toulis. Our show is Nuganomics.com. And also, if you're having computer problems of any kind, I want to recommend that you go to Affordable Computers. Affordable will take all the bloatware and garbage off your computer and bring it back up to speed. It will make repairs as needed. And there's an office, a branch of Affordable on Highway 58 between the Arby's and the Taco Bell, and another one in Fort Oglethorpe on Battlefield Parkway near the Holcombs. You can get a refurbished laptop of a name brand such as Dell for a couple $100 or maybe a little bit less. And there's always a quick turnaround time at Affordable Computers. That's Affordable Computers, locally owned and operated, as I say. And here, that phrase means something, okay? Since we are the advocates of local economy, Affordable Computers at 499-1975. That's 499-1975. Joel Huffman, thanks for joining my listener and me here at Nuganomics.com.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. It was great to talking with you and our listeners.
What's your number?
521-6852 is how you can reach me.
That's 521-6852. And Joel Huffman is 14, and his outfit is Mean Green. It's him and his brother, Noah, 13. They have a limited range of operation. It's in the Hickson area, but keep him in mind. David Toulis, and the show is Nuganomics.com. Thanks for giving me a minute of your time.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
If you have the DT, shit, because your phone is on the fritz, you have nomophobia. You need help. Your telecom doctor is in. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall. Cell Surgeon yanks open the ribcage of your phone, pries out the dead heart, and puts in the beating life that you lead on your cell phone. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out? Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall next Old Chicago Pizza. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life. We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection, loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
You do not have to be living with constant pain. You need to make the choice today to enjoy a revitalized body. You deserve to live a better pain-free life. And Dr. Ross can help. At Ross Chiropractic, failure is not an option. For over 40 years, Dr. Ross, a graduate of the prestigious Palmer College of Chiropractic, prided himself in helping and healing. The Ross method of chiropractic care is unique in developing a treatment designed just for you. And Ross Chiropractic makes this promise to you. If he believes that he can help relieve your pain, he will guide you to another health practitioner to assist you. Feel better now. You owe it to yourself. You really do. Call Dr. Ross now at 954-9591. That's 954-9591. And visit Dr. Ross at 7405 Shallowford Road, Suite 320. Ross Chiropractic, helping your body heal itself. Because when your spine's in line, you will feel fine. Call 954-9591. That's 954-9591 for Ross Chiropractic.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important.
Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Stocks are surging on Wall Street on the latest jobs numbers, with unemployment at a 7-year low. Overseas markets also rallying, fueled by British shares, as Prime Minister David Cameron's Conservative Party swept to victory with far stronger support than analysts were expecting.
We can make Britain a place where a good life is in reach for everyone who is willing to work and do the right thing.
Cameron saying he'll form a conservative government. The FBI is considering Sunday's shooting in Texas at a Prophet Muhammad cartoon contest as a sign of a broader threat from the Islamic State.
The FBI thinks that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the United States being self-radicalized by ISIS and its very sophisticated social media platforms. Taken at face value, the FBI is essentially saying that ISIS is getting better and we are having a tougher and tougher time keeping track of them.
Fox's Leland Bitter, Fox News. We report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nuganomics with David Toulis.
TV3 is reporting that 6 people were killed late last night in Blount County on Highway 411. And according to the THP, the Tennessee Highway Patrol, an Isuzu Rodeo SUV was traveling northbound on U.S. Highway 411 and crossed over into the southbound lane, hitting head-on a minivan. In that minivan were other people, and in the minivan were 8 people, including the driver. And this was 10:15 Thursday evening near a Baptist church. The crash killed the driver of each vehicle, along with an adult passenger and 3 children riding in the minivan. And one of those dead in the accident was an infant, according to WBIR. This is on TV3's WRCB-TV website.com, of course. And 2 additional children and an adult who were riding in the minivan were injured, and they were taken to UT Medical Center. There's a quote from Lieutenant Don Boshiers. He says, "It's terrible for first responders. It's terrible for everybody. These things, loss of life is so precious. And when you lose so much in one setting, it's almost compounding. I really don't know that I can explain it. We have adults and children who have both lost their lives, and it's very, very tragic." Very colloquial slab of dialogue or monologue there from an officer who has witnessed the crash scene in Blount County, which is in the Nashville area. My name is David Toulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com. We have a very positive argument here, and among the things that we are trying to be is a platform. We are a media platform, and among our offerings is what we have for you today, right here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. And we're online and on the smartphone. I'm the editor of Nuganomics.com, the website for the man who matters. And yes, I know I'm not popular. I'm not a popular writer, and I don't have a huge following. And I console myself by thinking in this direction that counter revolutions, even revolutions, are fostered by usually a very small minority of people, and usually motivated by a religious conception of some kind. Think of the Marxist-Leninist revolution that had its origins in the revolutions of the 1840s and 1850s. The people's revolutions around the world in Europe, and then you have Marxism, which is a Christian heresy where you have we have an idea that there's no need for the state anymore. There's no state, and there's no state because every worker in the worker's paradise knows exactly what to do without being directed, and he has no sin, right? He becomes a sinless person, content with his poverty. Everyone else is equally poor, and he's not needing direction because he fits into the great hive of humanity. Well, where was I going with that? I'm not remembering. And our argument is that local economy is the economy that matters, and it's here. And nothing we say is trademarked here. Even the slogan "Love your neighbor, buy local," that's not original to me. And nugacentrism, which is our perspective, is it's original to me. But you can use it. You can use it. You can even claim ownership of it if you want. That's quite all right with me. The more people who use that idea for this part of the world, this little corner in the southeast of Tennessee, I'm happy. I'm happy for you. I'm not jealous of anything. It's interesting that while we have the news about fatal accidents and court rulings against the NSA, we have often things to say that are very, very old. They're not really new. I mentioned Bill Binney, who proposed that regarding the ruling against the NSA in the Court of Appeals. He says, Binney is the former founder of the whole surveillance program for 32 years in the NSA. And he says, this is the objective of intelligence agencies that I worked in, predict intentions and capabilities in advance. I agree with my VIPs, and that's a reference to the Veteran Intelligence Professionals for Sanity. It's a group of former spies, associates. Hire anonymous, he says, and fire the bums we got, including the intelligence committees and the FISC, which is the U.S. Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. After all, when was the last time our intelligence community predicted anything like this in advance? And it didn't. Of course, I believe that the intelligence community, as it's called, was in on 9/11, but he says, well, it didn't stop 9/11, didn't stop that Boston Marathon bombing, the Paris shootings, and other terrorist attacks, and he attributes that to corruption within. Corruption within. There's speaking of the national government and kind of invasions of local economies elsewhere, there's a continuing controversy that a local notable has discussed. His name is Tim Gobble. I think he was a former sheriff and elected official, and he has an essay in the Chattanoogan.com, and he's defending Operation Jade Helm 15. Jade Helm is the military maneuver taking place among several nationalities. There are foreigners and foreign military people involved in kind of armed presentation on American soil, not in federal jurisdiction. Okay? These are in the states, within the states, and on lands not ceded by any vote of legislature to the national government, and so being necessarily states. And here in Texas and other states that are not in federal jurisdiction, you have the soldiers and troops and tanks. I've seen on Facebook photographs of unknown origin that are telling the viewer these are Jade Helm Abrams tank transportation of row after row of M1 tanks. Tim Gobble is very critical of those who are condemning this obstreperous presentation of military power in the states. Gobble contradicts federal Congressman Louis Gohmert, who is in the 1st District of Texas. Gohmert says that this is very, very offensive, and that he understands why people are so, especially in the Southwest, are so critical of the good people and their military demonstration. He says, Gohmert says, I have participated in or observed military exercises. However, we never named an existing city or state as hostile. We would use fictitious names before we would do such a thing. Once I observed the map depicting hostile, permissive, and uncertain states and locations, I was rather appalled, says the congressman, that the hostile areas amazingly have a Republican majority, cling to their guns and religion, and believe in the sanctity of the U.S. Constitution. And he says that this military operation is an affront to Texas. Such labeling tends to make people who have grown leery of federal government overreach become suspicious of whether their big brother government anticipates certain states may start another civil war or be overtaken by foreign radical Islamist elements, which have been reported to be just across our border. Such labeling by a government that is normally not allowed to use military force against its own citizens is an affront, Louis Gohmert, the congressman, says, to the residents of that particular state considered as hostile, as if the government is trying to provoke a fight with them. And Tim Gobble, in his essay, which runs about 12 or 13 paragraphs, says the extreme right-wing conspiracy theorists that continue to try to infiltrate the mainstream Republican Party and surreptitiously plot to undermine our own military, intelligence, law enforcement, and elected commander-in-chief with concocted falsehoods should be swiftly and soundly repudiated. Tim Gobble is standing up for the surveillance and warfare establishment. He says the National Republican leadership should stand up and defend the military, intelligence community, law enforcement, and the democratically elected commander-in-chief. He's kind of repeating himself. Or of any party for doing a decent job in protecting the nation. So that perspective says that we have to have total surveillance, we have to have illegal surveillance. Why? Because we are protecting the nation. And then he talks about what the party needs to do to gain credibility with general election voters and not let, he says, crackpots from within try to convince our own citizenry that our elected president is more of an enemy than Putin, or that young people should not join the military while Obama is president, or the Patriot Act is being used to listen to your personal phone calls with Aunt Sally. He's taking all the things that people like you, my listener, are saying, Tim Gobble is, and making a little fun of them. Or our own military and the Obama administration are conspiring against us to take over several Republican-leaning Western states by imposing martial law with Jade Helm. So he's quoting someone like you, you, my listener, who are aware of the Jade Helm exercise, and he's ridiculing you. Tim Gobble is ridiculing those who are rightly suspicious of illegal government activities, which are widespread, critical of anarchy in government, anarchy at the top. And he ends his column by saying, we will be better off when the mainstream Republican Party rids itself of the conspiracy theory lunacy of those lacking even a basic understanding of necessary military training and national security related concepts. And that's Tim Gobble, Republican. Well, maybe so, but I think that the national government doesn't have limits. It doesn't understand limits. And there are other examples where important people don't, not just the national government doesn't recognize its limits, but even Christian singer Amy Grant doesn't understand limits. She's a professing Christian, a very famous Christian vocalist, and she is having an affiliation in Nashville, where she lives at the center of the music industry there. She has a seemingly well-intentioned connection with the Gates Foundation, which is behind the funding of the destruction of children here in the United States by support of Planned Parenthood, the largest abortion factory operator in the world. The Gates Foundation, according to lifenews.com, let's see, the foundation grant gave Planned Parenthood of America, the International Planned Parenthood Federation, and Planned Parenthood of Western Washington about $71 million from before 2009 through 2013. Amy Grant is understood to be in favor of that, though she may be pro-life. Additionally, the Gates Foundation gave $46.1 million to Marie Stopes International in 2012. Much of this giving is focused on Africa and Asia and Latin America, where abortion providers such as Planned Parenthood, Marie Stopes, and IPAS seek to overturn pro-life laws and sometimes even provide illicit abortion drugs. And the essay points out that because money is fungible, if you give $1 to an abortion operator, that dollar effectively pays for the destruction of either a boy or a girl, in at least a tiny bit of that procedure, which destroys that human life. And fungibility simply means it's transferable, right? If a dollar comes in for some benign purpose at Planned Parenthood, let's say to keep the neon signs running, right? You're writing a check to keep the neon signs lit so that passersby can come and find out the hours as they drive by when babies are destroyed. Well, that check for that innocuous purpose really funds the chief end of the organization, which is the destruction of children. And money is fungible, so you can't segregate and isolate money. Money goes to entities, and if an entity has a lot of costs, let's say on abortion providers' salaries, well, those costs are paid for by you when you're supporting, you're supporting the outreach ministry of Planned Parenthood, or you're supporting the advertising budget. All of its money is fungible. Money flows, right? It flows through and through. And it's all $1 is the same as any other dollar, and so you can't make distinctions like that. There are this Christian singer Amy Grant. Is she naive? Is she incautious to patronize and make an alliance with entities that are very hostile to life and hostile to Black life, especially in Africa? There are to the elites of our country. There are way too many Black people, and there are way too many people in Africa as a whole, and so we need to prevent them from coming into existence by what's called birth control. Now, that Amy Grant is maybe she's being naive. Maybe she's just not. I'm sure that she's not, has no malicious thought in her heart, but she's not a discerning person. Well, discernment is something that others have, and they establish limits. I was making contact with a writer who has a lot of very interesting things to say. His name is Ralph Adask, and Al Adask in Texas. And he is a man who, in his correspondence, has a proviso at the end of his email that goes on for, when I printed it out, well, actually I did a screen grab of it and printed it so I could read the thing, at least part of his comments to you on Nuganomics.com. And that is what you are listening to, by the way, Nuganomics.com. And here's a man who has been involved in litigation and has had very high level theorizings about law. And I used to subscribe to his law reform journal. It was called Anti-Shyster. It was a fighting magazine if there ever was one, and all kinds of wild patriot types would advertise their schemes for escaping government control and colloidal silver in the Anti-Shyster. But Alfred Adask, he's a man who puts limits on, and he has his provisos. I think are interesting because he realizes that we are all corporations. You and I are walking corporations, and the only way we can separate ourselves from the operation of these corporations is by kind of making kind of dismissive comments, effectively. And here's how. I'm going to read you some of the language that he has in here that show that he is an independent man and not beholden to anyone and not owned by anyone except perhaps by God. He says he is an actual physical man made in God's image and endowed by my Creator with certain inalienable rights. Okay, you know where that comes from. I am currently one of the people of the state of Texas and one of the people of the United States of America. I'm a beneficiary, he says, of federalism as declared by the U.S. High Court in Bond versus U.S. And then he gives a citation. Unless otherwise, here he's putting up his guard, right? Here's what Amy Grant's not doing, that Al Adask is. Unless otherwise expressly or involuntarily agreed by me in writing over my actual handwritten signature. Okay, Listen up. I exercise my actual rights of religious and political freedom of choice to declare that the venue of all my conduct, speech, writings, agreements, residence, and domicile is without, meaning outside, without the singular United States, and actually on the soil within the physical boundaries of the county of Dallas, located within the border of the state of Texas, one of the several member states of the perpetual union styled the United States of America, quote unquote. And that all of his conduct is intentional. All his conduct is intentional. That all of my acts and intentions take place in a year of our Lord. Notice how he's connecting himself with the calendar. That I act at arm's length and without prejudice to my capacity. And he goes on to say that I have not knowingly, intentionally, or voluntarily consented to be subject by virtue of mere statute, rule, regulation, emergency, or alleged moral obligation to the authority of any unincorporated, implied, charitable trust. Now you say, where's this man going? Well, his theory is that we've all been converted into beneficiaries of various trusts, which are what I call commercial government. Okay, this is getting to be really deep, kind of legal theorizing, which in a way it's hard to prove, right? You can't prove these things by reading court cases, as sometimes I'm wont to do. But we are, he implies and has written, we are beneficiaries of trust. And so how do we unbeneficiaryize ourselves? That is kind of our question. How do we separate ourselves from the chains of paper that bind us and that make our children wards of the state and make us a kind of chattel, right? A kind of personal property. You know, slavery in the Old South, your slave was your personal property. It was called chattel slavery. You owned a person. And we are effectively, by his line of thinking, we are a kind of chattel property of national government. It's debts being directed toward us for payment, right? Debts we've never created ourselves in a lawless form of currency, the Federal Reserve dollar. But he goes on to say that he's never voluntarily consented to any mere statute and rule and so on, or any implied charitable trust, that I deny that I'm acting, he says, in the territorial jurisdiction of this state as defined by the Texas Penal Code, etc. And that for my purposes are at all times religious first and or political second. So what he's doing is he's saying that he's operating under religious liberty. His whole work as a writer, as a broadcaster in Texas, and of course around the world through the internet, is religious in its purpose. He is intending to convince people to be Christians or to be better Christians if they are, or to find their moral bases in submission to God and God's law. And he refers to God the Father in the Yahweh language of the old Hebrews, that they would not spell God's name for fear of touching it, for fear of offending him by referring to him directly. So they would write his name YHWH rather. And so that's what this writer does. And so you know what he's doing? He's making distinctions. He's saying I'm not part of these things. And I have the same question. If a Mexican immigrant in Chattanooga who's arrested and charged with driving without a license, is there some way he can create in his motion to quash the indictment against him, can he create a status? Can he show that his status is such that he's not bound by things that bind other people? The things that bind people are their own words. They're bound by their contracts. They're bound by their applications for benefits into and upon the machinery of the modern welfare and warfare state. We've all done that. We all have social security numbers. We all have birth certificates. We all have signs that we are walking corporations. So how do we separate ourselves from these corporate entities, from these avatars, as I call them? Is there any kind of avatar reduction therapy that we can engage in? And when I make reference to that, of course, I'm thinking about the surveillance that always is upon your avatar, never upon your flesh and blood person. Is there any way we can separate ourselves from it? Is there some way that we can obtain back our losses, that we can find a freedom that we've lost? We've lost it morally. We've lost it religiously. We've lost our freedoms in this country because we've rejected God. And in Christianity, in God, there is liberty. And the concept of local economy that you read in the Bible is liberty under law. The law is God's law, and under that is liberty. Under modern nation states, there's no liberty at all. There's no law except the vague and incomprehensible federal code with its hundreds of crimes, its obligations that you're not aware of, its strict liability crimes where you don't even have to intend to be violating a law to be found guilty of it, and many other things which are very humanistic and very disastrous. They're all disastrous for local economy. They're disastrous for Chattanooga. And I dare say your life, my listener's life, there's disaster there. It's funny though, we don't often see the wreckage that national economy and you might say apostasy against God have brought to us. And yet that is part of the legal analysis. That's part of the economic analysis that I explore at Nuganomics.com. I'm the editor. My name is David Toulis. The website is Nuganomics.com, and we're here every day at Hot News Talk Radio, 1240 AM Hot News Talk Radio, exploring local economy in the free market. The name is David Toulis, and the website, Nuganomics.com.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Right now, you can save half off at hotnewstalkradio.com. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and click half off for exceptional deals on new and pre-owned unique quality items. For Hamilton County residents only, save half off at Jet's Pizza, golf clubs, coffee, tea, a real sword, jewelry, and much more. It's half off. Go to half off at hotnewstalkradio.com right now, then click half off and save big. Make sure to join us live Saturday at noon as we bring you lots of fantastic deals here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
News Talk 1240.
Surgery does not have to be financially painful. Hi, I'm Surgical Dr. David Red, and I'd like to invite you to my walk-in surgery clinic in North Shore. Quick Surge brings you immediate relief from moles, skin tags, maybe a laceration. Quick Surge. You walk in, fill out a mini form, I numb the area I'll treat, and before you know it, you're on your way home. Do I take insurance? No, because I take cash customers. I have super low and fixed prices, credit card, check, or cash. Uninsured? Member of the working financially disadvantaged? Choose Quick Surge. I publish prices online. No murk, just sunshine. Hassle-free, pain-free. Love the idea of a personal relationship with a doctor? Drop in with a nasty cut from work. Quick Surge, I'll take care of you. Quick Surge is a public center on the North Shore. No insurance hassles with Quick Surge. The national medical system is dysfunctional, overpriced, very alienating. I'm part of the solution, and so are you. Come on home. QuickSurge.com. QUIKSURG. Relief.
When my brother and I opened our first Jet's Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300 plus stores later,